Hey everybody, we are teaching Vermillion, and this episode is all about the palette knife, which is actually my favorite tool. So we're going to jump over to the headset and we're going to see which tool is the palette knife. Okay, here's the rack, and it's this guy on the end. This is my palette knife. It even makes a wonderful sound when you pick it up. Hey, palette knife. Okay, so you can see this guy. He's got this wonderful diamond shape. Now, technically, this is a painting knife. That bend in the handle is so in the real world, you don't have to worry about your knuckles touching the painting. But here in virtual reality, it's a palette knife. Even though it's not perfectly straight, we're just going to call it a palette knife. And this is a really versatile painting tool. This is one of my absolute favorites. You can get a lot of work out of this one tool, a lot of different variety of textures and different ways of painting. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch back to the headset view one more time, and we're going to really take some close-up look at how this guy works and how he applies paint. So let's go back to headset view. Here we go. Okay, so the palette knife has that diamond shape as well as it's got these edges. So I'm going to get some paint loaded on here. You can see how it covers my palette knife nicely. Now if you keep it flat against the canvas, you can see how it gives you this nice smear. You can also see how it gives a lot of texture as you smear it. If you have a lot of paint, then that first few smears has a lot of paint being laid down. You can really see that texture. Now this is all keeping it flat to the canvas, giving you a very flat texture. If I have a lot on my brush, and now instead of flat, I'm going to rotate it. So instead of flat, it's going to be up at an angle like that. So instead of flat against it, I'm almost scraping a little bit. Now you can see the difference in textures. The more of an angle, the more space you have between the smears. And the flatter you get, the flatter your stroke. Now you can even change your angle while you're painting. So I could start flat and then roll it out as I paint, getting sparser and sparser. Or the other way around, start sparse and then flatten the brush as I paint, giving you these wonderful textures. Now you can see visually I am running out of paint on the knife. It is a visual indicator so that you can keep track of how much you're using and when you need to go back and get more. I'm going to get a different color this time. And now with a lot of paint on, you can see how much texture is really building up here. Here's where our lamp gives you your different texture highlighting. But now we can start building up these wonderful colors, these wonderful effects by using the different parts of our knife. Now if my knife is clean and I go in scraping, you can see how it's actually scraping away at the paint there. This only really works if it's clean. If you have color on your knife, then the edge will still add in a little bit of that color. But if your knife is clean, then the edge acts like a scraper. And you can get these interesting effects scraping away. If I actually go in with color in an upper layer, I don't think you can see the layers here, but we're going to do it anyway. Now I go in, let's go in with some green here. It's an upper layer, so it's not going to blend. It's an upper layer, so I can give these cool textures. But if I clean my brush, and now I scrape away at this layer, you can see how it's revealing that red layer underneath where I scrape through. It's scraping away the green layer, revealing the layer underneath. So all of these different textures, patterns, and colors are using the same tool, the palette knife, to lay down color, and the palette knife will also lay down texture. And you can even see how it'll still blend and smear like a brush, but now we're using these texture patterns instead of a smooth brush pattern. I really enjoy these, so we're going to do a quick trip through some paintings and look at some paintings with some of these textures, so you can see how the palette knife not only gives us nice color blending, but these wonderful shapes and textures and patterns within the color itself. So let's go back to Studio View and round this out with these wonderful paintings with a palette knife. So there you have it, this palette knife tool, this wonderful way of creating art, getting texture, getting color, smearing it around. It's a little more interactive than just a brush. The way you roll it against the canvas will change the way it puts paint down on the canvas. One of my favorite tools, not only in the real world, but also here in Vermillion, the VR oil painting app. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Likewise, if you've created some wonderful paintings of your own, feel free to link those too. We love to show off what other artists are creating using these tools. Have fun, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.